What's up? It's Marco back in, and today I'm going to talk about my wants and predictions for the U.S. men's national team November roster. They are two very different things. Yeah, this roster is going to be released tomorrow. I'm going to be giving my thoughts on that tomorrow. But going into it, just want to say what I want on the squad and what I think it is going to be. So first, for what I want on the squad, I'm going to go with a 23-man roster to kind of limit it. I feel like it's going to be more like a 26, 28-man roster, but 23 is what it's going to be for a tournament, so I feel like if we're picking a squad, it should be like this anyway. So starting things off in net, and I feel like we got to go with Matt Turner, Zack, Steffen, Ethan Horvath. Ethan Horvath, I would completely understand if he's dropped for this, because he has been the backup at Nottingham Forest. He's not been playing, and man, if you want to have Sean Johnson in the squad, I feel like that's completely understandable. If you want to have Bill Holland in the squad, I get it. I was even really considering calling up Gabe Slonina, the 17-year-old who's killing it at FC Fire right now, or Chicago Fire. Did they change their name yet? I don't know. They're going through some brand things, but Gabe, fortunately, actually, we've got the Revelations Cup, which is a U20 tournament. I'm going to be talking about that when that roster comes out as well. But because of that, I don't think you should include him in this squad, so Ethan Horvath gets saved. My rationale for Ethan Horvath staying in the squad is, my thinking was I didn't want him on the Nations League squad because he wasn't playing then. But he was able to come in cold and do a very good job. And he's proven that even when he's not playing, he can come off the bench and do a job. So because of that, I feel like Horvath should still be in the squad. We know he's a quality keeper. He's been able to do the backup goalkeeper before. Now, if he wants to get upgraded into that starter, he is going to have to need to get some playing time. And I am really going to be considering Gabe Slonina over him, should he not continue to get playing time. But at the moment, I feel like Horvath should still be in the squad. For the starter, I feel like it still has to be Matt Turner. We know his flaws. He's terrible with his feet. He's not going to distribute well. But Steffen as well, he's not playing. And because of that, I want a goalkeeper who's playing, because you don't want to have a goalkeeper going rusty. That leads to mistakes. And Turner has been doing very well with shot stopping. So I feel like we have to keep Turner in the squad for now. I still think Zack Steffen has a higher ceiling. And should he get that consistent run of games, I would have him in the squad. But as of right now, it has to be Matt Turner. Next, we've got the center back position. And man, this is another one that I was really fighting over. I've got John Brooks, Miles Robinson, Chris Richards, and Matt Miazga. That fourth center back spot of Matt Miazga was one I was really wrestling with. Mark McKenzie, he's been in that role for a while now, but he has not been performing well, and he hasn't been getting a lot of game time at Genk. Matt Miazga hasn't been playing too much at Alaves as well, but he has done well in times that he's played. Walker Zimmerman was another guy I was really considering, and he definitely will be on the roster, but I just feel like Matt Miazga brings a lot more to him than him. And James Sands, another guy if we want to go with a 3 at the back, but he hasn't been great. Tim Ream, I feel like he can get exposed by the pace that Mexico and Jamaica will bring too much, so I wouldn't want him. So I feel like Matt Miazga is the best option, but like Ethan Horvath, I could be talked up or down a ledge with him. And then for who I'd start with this group, I think the first game, I'd go with John Brooks and Miles Robinson. There probably are two center backs I feel the most reliable with, but should either of them underperform or show flaws in that first game, you have to insert Chris Richards into that lineup. And honestly, for the second game, I might just put Richards into the lineup anyway, because he's such a talented defender, and you really want to get him game time. Plus, I'm kind of unsure about John Brooks right now. He's been not performing great, but he has been carrying injuries, so maybe that's part of it. That's why I want to give him the start, because he has been doing well for Wolfsburg. But yeah, Chris Richards, he needs to get some playing time this window. Next, fullback, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. Sergiño, Dest, Antonee Robinson, DeAndre, Yedlin, and Joe Scaley. One interesting thing is Dest has been playing a bit more further forward for Barcelona lately, so maybe he's not a starter. I mean, if that leads to Joe Scaley getting a start, I'm very open to that. You can see Joe Scaley at right back, Dest further forward. That's definitely an option. I could also see Dest playing at right back. Joe Scaley, he's good enough to cover left back, so I don't feel like the need to bring in a backup left back. I'll get more into that later because we do have some other options. But at the moment, I feel pretty comfortable with that group. Dest, Robinson, Yedlin, Scaley. Cannon, he's just starting to play again for Boavista. Shaq Moore, I really want him at a higher level. George Bello, Sam Vines, probably not yet with either of them. So I feel comfortable with this group, especially with the 23-man limit. You probably will see a George Bello, maybe a Sam Vines in the squad. But with the limit, I feel comfortable with these guys. Now into center mid, and this is probably the position where I'm changing the most. The starting lineup's staying the same. Tyler Adams, Weston, McKennie, Yunus, Musah. very good players, should still be in the team. Gianluca Busio, another backup, I feel like he has to be in the squad. Luca de la Torre, he's been performing great. He showed a lot of energy in that Ajax game that was the only real doubt I had. But yeah, Luca de la Torre has got to be in the squad. He's such a talented player. And lastly, for more defensive mid, I'm making a change for a while. I'm going, first time in a while, I'm not including Acosta in one of these. I'm going with Leon Flach. And my rationale behind that and just dropping all the MLS lifers is we talk a lot about experience. And I feel like experience is an important thing normally because when a player is experienced, the thing is, you know what you're going to get out of them. That's part of the reason why you're going with John Brooks, Miles Robinson. We've seen them play in these World Cup qualifiers before, and we know what to expect from them. Well, that's the thing in theory, but in practice, it doesn't really work like that with this team. I mean, with Sebastian Lleget, for example, had a pretty solid game against Honduras. Then, man, that Panama game, he was god-awful, one of the worst performers. Acosta, we know he gets a positive performance out of him. Then that Costa Rica game, just terrible. And experience, what you want from that is consistency. But these are just inconsistent players. And when it comes to that, you just look at them and go, man, I don't see anything that they bring of value. Maybe Acosta with some leadership, but I think Leon Flach has that. And I feel like Weston McKennie can have that, and Tyler Adams has that. So I don't see any reason to bring in veterans who have that low ceiling. And I'm looking at Leon Flach. He does the same thing that Kellyn Acosta does. And this MLS season, he's been doing that better. And he has the similar flaws, probably not the best on the ball, but at the same time, he can cover left back as a left-footed player, and I want to get more left-footed players into the squad. And, you know, he's got a higher ceiling. We know that he can get better at the ball, and he has been getting better on the ball throughout the season, so maybe it's just my Philadelphia Union bias, and I'd be okay with Acosta. I know he's going to be on the team, but I got to go with Leon Flach for this. And I'm choosing him over Cardoso because I wasn't impressed with Cardoso in Olympic qualifiers. Tanner Testament, I feel like, is still raw, and I'm still not sold on Christian Capie at that level. So, yeah, that's why I'm going with Leon Flach. Busio, self-explanatory. I think he's been playing great at Venezia. Musah, Adams, McKennie, I don't really feel like I need to justify them. Okay, next we're going to wing. I feel like it's a pretty simple call. I got Pulisic, Aronson, Tim Weah, and Conrad De La Fuente. Matthew Hoppe, I guess it's the snub from this. I really want to see him get a bit more playing time. Like, I do want Hoppe in the team. I do feel like he's a very talented player, but with guys like Pulisic and Aronson and Tim Weah and Conrad, that's a lot of talent, and they're playing at the moment. And I can't put Hoppe in over them because our attack is actually pretty good at the moment. Also, for the wingers, I'm not too sure how we start. I mean, Pulisic and Aronson, I feel like, are the best players at the moment in that group. But both seem to operate better on the left-hand side. It's more of like an inside forward. I feel like Pulisic has the capability to play on the right, and I wouldn't be mad at that. But maybe you start Tim Weah there. I mean, I feel like Aronson's still the best at a number 10, but we're stuck in this formation that we have to stick to because, you know, as a national team, you stick to one set formation. You make your players fit into that. You don't adjust at all to the personnel you have because you can't bring in players, Greg. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like for starters, I try Pulisic and Aronson first. Tim Weah can be very dangerous off the bench as well, so that's a plus. But yeah, for the second game, depending on how that goes, you might have to throw Weah in there. So yeah, that's my thoughts for that. And also, we should probably only start Pulisic one game. He's still coming back from injury. Fitness might not be there. He might not even be able to start. We don't know that yet. And lastly, up top, I've got Ricardo Pepi and Daryl DK. I mean, at the moment, I feel like form matters for strikers, especially in CONCACAF, and those two are strikers in form. I mean, Pepi, he's been killing it for us, and Daryl DK, he's been very strong with Orlando, and I still think that he was just completely injured during the Gold Cup, and I'm honestly mad that we played him as long as he did, because it was pretty clear that he wasn't at 100%, but we continued to play him. So I feel like those are the two guys I want to go with. Should this have been last window, I would have called up PFOC, but he's not been doing too great in Switzerland. Josh Sargent hasn't been performing well. Matthew Hoppe not playing too much. So those are the guys I'd go with. So yeah, that's my 23-man squad. I feel like I've given good rationale. I could be talked down out of some players like Horvath, Miazga, any of the starters, Leon Flach, like Daryl DK. Like, I can go back and forth them, but that's who I feel like would be the best team at the moment. So yeah, that's my wants for the team. Now it's my prediction. So for the prediction, I'm going with a 26-man squad because that seems to be what we went with last time, and I feel like that's a fair enough group because it has been bigger squads lately. In goal, Turner, Steffen, and Sean Johnson. I could definitely see Ethan Horvath getting left out after not being called up last time, which was due to travel restrictions, but I still see Sean Johnson being in the team, and I'm not mad at that. At center back, I keep the Brooks, Robinson, and Chris Richards, but I feel like we're going to get 3 new ones in Walker Zimmerman. I feel like he'll be recalled. He has been playing pretty well. I just feel like we have players who could do the same job and have a higher ceiling. I feel like Tim Ream will be recalled. It seems to be a leadership thing. I don't see it. Like in the one game that he played, he really wasn't showing any leadership qualities, but I'm not in that dressing room. And I feel like Mark McKenzie will stay in the squad. He has been playing very well, and I do want him in the team, but I just don't feel like he's been playing that great for us. And he hasn't been playing much in Genk, so that's why I had Matt Miazga over him, but I feel like Mark McKenzie will be in the squad, and I won't be mad at that. At fullback, Sergiño, Dest, Anthony Robinson, DeAndre, Yedlin, Joe Scaley, and the addition of George Bello, just more left-back cover, and again, I feel like perfectly fine. I mean, George Bello, really high, like player I'm excited about. Maybe it's Sam Vines, I'm not too sure. I honestly, it's splitting hairs between the two of them. I don't have a preference one way or the other, but yeah, very solid players, both of them, and decent enough backups. Not mad at them in the squad. For the midfield, I feel like this is where it's going to be the most different from what I want, and that is, all starters still the same. Adams, McKennie, and Musah, both of them, all 3 of them are just amazing. I don't feel like you could drop any of them. But I feel like Christian Roldan, Kellyn, Acosta, and Sebastian Lleget will be recalled, along with Gianluca Busio. Roldan seems to be a favorite of Greg Berhalter. I understand he does well in the MLS, but on a national team level, I've never viewed him as talented. Like, with Sebastian Lleget, I can go, okay, if we play a certain style of play that I've talked about before, like, maybe he could be in the team. With Kellyn Acosta, very solid defensively. Roldan, I don't get it, I'll be honest. Especially if we play him at wing again, I don't get it. But, yeah, I feel like those guys will be in. Kellyn Acosta, again, I feel like he's got too many flaws, and we've got players who can do the same job as him, but he's a decent enough player when he's played in that role where he comes on towards the end of a game where we're winning and he can help us with a win. I'm fine with that. He does that job well, but he should not be starting. Sebastian Lleget, he should not be in the team. My feeling is he doesn't keep the ball well enough. When we are playing possession, he's not progressing the ball well, so I don't want him in the squad, and I really would prefer a lot of players over him. I haven't even mentioned Julian Green, who I would prefer over him. I'm not calling him up because he hasn't been playing the most in the Bundesliga, but when he has played, he's looked good, and I've been watching him, and yeah, sucks that Lleget's going to be in there. And Busio, I feel like will retain his spot, though he has been a little bit injured, so maybe doesn't get called up. I don't know. Luca de la Torre, I'm not having him in the predicted squad because there was like this Dutch commentator that mentioned that his team only had 1 player called up. So only one Heracles was an international, and it wasn't him. So I don't know if that was just a mistake or that he was just mentioning that that 1 player got called up. And maybe I'm overthinking things, but I don't think Berhalter's a fan of Luca de la Torre, so I easily see him not being on the squad, which is really unfortunate because every time he plays, he looks extremely dangerous. And I want to see him start a game, see how he does defensively, but no, we're just going to stick with same old, same old. For wing, I feel like it's going to be Pulisic, Aronson, and Tim Weah, but instead of Conrad De La Fuente or Matthew Hoppe, probably Paul Arriola and Dordi Mihalovic. Arriola, he just seems to be a Berhalter favorite, so I bet he gets back into the team. He has been scoring for DC United, but I just don't feel like he's a good player. And honestly, even wings at DC United, I feel like Kevin Paradis is better, and yeah, it just sucks that he's back in the team. But Dordi Mihalovic, I'm pretty excited about him. He was a player I was pretty high on before his injury, and I don't want to say I wrote him off, but stopped really following him. But he's been tearing up MLS. I believe he's the leader in assists there, or he was at one point, and he's taken to Montreal very well, which is unexpected because Thierry Henry brought him in, and then he left. So he had to fight for his spot. He's looking very good. He's a left-footed player, which I like probably more than I should, but yeah, Dordi Mihalovic, he's been doing very well. I don't feel like I'd call him up for Pulisic, Aronson, Weah, Conrad, or Matthew Hoppe, but I wouldn't be disappointed if he's in the squad, and I do want to see him get a look. Lastly, for striker, we've got Ricardo Pepe, and I feel like it'll be Josh Sargent. Pepe is self-explanatory, but Sargent, Greg seems to like him. even though he hasn't been playing well, I guess he's been playing at Norwich, which, even though he hasn't been doing great, you can see some positives in him. I don't know. Like, I watched Julian Green, and Gorderfirth sucks, but Julian Green does well. Like, he has some good moves, he makes chances, but Josh Sargent, he needs to get in form, and I really don't feel like it's going to happen this year. I feel like he'll tear up the championship, but I don't feel like it'll happen this year. But I see him being back to the squad because he's a guy that Greg likes, and I feel like, I don't know, I'm not mad at him, but he needs to get a lot better. But yeah, that's my predictions for the squad and what I want out of the team. I mean, man, it could be a very good squad. It could be a pretty poor one. Hopefully it'll be more like that Jamaica game we had last time. Man, that was one of the best games I've ever seen. It's going to be awesome to get Pulisic back. Man, hopefully Chris Richards gets some time. I'll be interested to see what we do with Sergiño, Dest. Maybe Joe Scaley will get some games. Yeah, there's a lot to be excited about. Hopefully you put out the right squad. And yeah, I'm really excited about this window. I'll talk about the squad tomorrow. That's all I'll talk about. See ya.